How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Drew Johnson. You can find both of us on X at Dalton_Trigg and at Coach Drew 33. Man, DJ, what a crazy, maddening, rewarding game we got tonight between the Mavs and the Grizzlies. It ended up being close, just like I thought it would be. Now, how we got to that point is not how I thought we'd get to that point.
Right.
But the Mavs were down 15 points in the fourth quarter. They had more than 20 turnovers heading into the fourth quarter, which was already a season high. 22. And they ended up with 25, which is the most they've had in 5 years. 5 years. And they missed 14 free throws on the night. And yet, by the grace of God, the Mavs ended up beating the Grizzlies 121-116, completely flipping the script in the fourth quarter, erasing a 15-point deficit, and capturing a huge win, which was their fifth straight and their ninth in 10 tries. This was an unbelievable game for many reasons, but just because of the two I mentioned there, the turnover count, 25 turnovers is absolutely insane. And 14 missed free throws in a clutch game is insane. And Kyrie Irving going 3 of 14 from the floor and 0 of 4 from 3 and only having 10 points. And yet, the Mavs still won this game. I still can't believe it. I was just looking at my computer screen in awe. I was watching that fourth quarter unfold, and I was like, you know what? The Grizz are making some pretty stupid plays here, and they're fouling, and they were basically gifting the Mavs free throws, and especially Marcus Smart. And we'll get into that here in a second because I know you have some stuff to say about Marcus Smart. Not very smart. But, every time they made a dumb foul, when they didn't have to, and the Mavs kept getting free throws and inching closer and closer. It's like, man, they might really have a chance to do something here. And then Spencer Dinwiddie came out of nowhere with just two massive threes in that fourth quarter to essentially ice this game. So he was huge in this one too. Luka led the way with 37 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and was a plus 16 in his 40 minutes and shot 11 of 22 overall, hit 5 of his 9 threes and 10 of his 16 free throws. So Luka was fantastic. But overall, just what a feel-good win, DJ. This is the type of win that makes you think, okay, maybe the Mavs are finally NBA Finals ready. They got to the NBA Finals last season, but Kyrie Irving did not have a good series, and they weren't able to play through that. Now we have an example of how that can happen. You're playing a very good, very talented, very physical Memphis Grizzlies team. You're down 15 in the fourth. Kyrie's having an awful game. The entire team is turning the ball over way too much, and yet you come back and you win this. So this is unbelievable. I had chills watching the end of the fourth quarter play out, clutch time play out, so to speak. So I'm going to take a breath here, and I'm going to toss it over to you. I mean, what were you thinking in the last couple of minutes of this game?
Basically that Memphis gifted this game to us on a platter. We executed. Don't get me wrong. But a lot had to go wrong for the Grizz for them to just squander a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. And a lot of it was just, pardon my French, doing stupid shit. Most notably, Marcus Smart doing stupid shit. And he did, first of all, he committed one of the biggest, cardinal sins in basketball. You never save the ball under your own basket. Never, ever, ever. And you teach that to kids whenever they're 8 years old.
And it's not like there were any Mavericks around trying to save it.
No.
He could have just let it go out of bounds and it would have been Grizzlies ball.
It was a Luka air ball. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, did one of the gambling gangsters in Memphis get to you, or did you have to throw that game? Like, what? Yeah, I joke about it. It's very possible.
Well, look,
But
I will say this, and then continue on with your rant. But as many times as Marcus Smart has killed the Mavs in the past, being a Dallas native, thank God he finally had some moments that helped the Mavs for once. So, I think the Mavs were overdue for a bad Marcus Smart game. So,
well, it wasn't even the fact that he played bad. He made terrible decisions. But that one took the cake. Like that beat anything I've ever seen. Like I literally started yelling at the TV, and I wanted him to do this. Like I was happy, but I was just watching it happen pissed me off. Because you're a professional basketball player. This isn't supposed to happen. So, things like that greatly aided our efforts. I will say that. But, we did have to capitalize. We did have to make some big shots. We had to make free throws. And, even though we had 25 turnovers, we only had 3 in the fourth quarter. We took pretty decent care of the ball in the fourth quarter. However, winning ugly is great, and it does say a lot about us. But we have to take into account that the Grizzlies played like absolute dog shit down the stretch.
Yeah.
We can't expect to beat teams at their best playing like that.
Now, I will say this. The Grizzlies tried to do some stuff in that fourth quarter that they got away with in the first 3 quarters of that game. And we were bashing the officiating. Like it was horrible. Specifically the one blonde-haired ref that I don't know what she was doing, but like it was awful. And then all of a sudden it's like they decided, okay, well, we have not been calling this game consistently and we've been missing stuff. And all of a sudden they started calling stuff like tremendously in the Mavs' favor, almost as if to make up for the previous 3 quarters.
It was probably the worst officiated game I have seen this year.
It was horrible. It was very frustrating.
It was awful.
And the Mavs weren't playing good anyway, but that just made it worse.
And, it's like they were very active with their whistle, but they would miss key elements taking place, like, fouls, whatever you have. And they would come up with these calls that just wouldn't make sense. Like there was, this worked out in the Mavs' favor, but there was an instance where there was a coach's challenge on a Derek Lively / Jaren Jackson, yeah, rebound. And the Memphis's other Scottie Pippen was involved in it too. Scottie Pippen Jr. was involved in it. And initially they called it out on the Grizz, then they went and reviewed it, and then it was actually out on Derek Lively, but then they called a foul on the Grizzlies and sent Derek Lively to the line. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like
and look, that's thank goodness for the new wrinkle to that rule, because in years past you couldn't go back and call a foul on something like that. It's just whoever touched the ball last. But on that replay, and just to give some context here, this was the Mavs were down 111 to 106 with a little less than about 2.5 minutes remaining. And they called it, the ball was out on Jaren Jackson. So they said, looked at the replay, like you said, saw it was clearly off of Derek Lively, but Jaren Jackson Jr. had Derek Lively's arm locked up to where he couldn't, extend out further to try and save the ball. So, thank goodness for that new wrinkle to the replay rule, because the officials in years past, they would have looked at that, saw that it went off of Derek Lively, and they wouldn't have been able to retroactively call a foul on Justin Jackson. It just would have been Grizzlies ball. So,
but still, like the way that we got to that point, and that's just one example of several instances that were very similar to that. Like, and it would take them forever to determine what a call was. It's like it was this like officiating crew's first game together. Like there were some clear communication issues between the three of them. And like you said, whoever the blonde-headed lady is that was the third official, she was just bad, man.
It was bad.
It was
And
bad.
to be clear, this isn't the same one that is in all the memes with Luka
No,
over the last 2 I don't know who this lady is,
no,
but
this one doesn't like Luka. I'm pretty sure this one teed up Luka tonight.
it was bad.
Did you see what Luka called her? I'm pretty sure this is what Luka called her. Like whenever he got his technical tonight, did you see why he got his technical called?
I thought it was just because he waved him off.
No, he called her a female body part.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't see that. I'll have to go back and look. Allegedly. Yeah. We'll say allegedly.
I'm pretty sure. I know. Okay, so I know he said it. I know he said it because the Mavs Moneyball stream or whatever, they said it. I just don't know. I just don't know who it was issued to, but I'm pretty sure it was issued to her because she is the one that called the technical.
Well, look, as hot-headed as Luka can be, I'm not putting that past him. So, I'll leave it at that. But it wouldn't surprise me at all. But man, to play through your own struggles, with the turnovers and the free throw misses and the officiating not going your way, to battle through all that and to come out with this type of win is just unreal to me. Like this is the kind of game that the Mavs would have lost by double digits in the NBA Finals, when Kyrie wasn't playing good against the Celtics because they didn't have enough people step up when he wasn't playing good. And, this kind of showed me that this team is more NBA Finals ready now. If you can play as bad, because I'm not kidding, that was the most maddening game I have watched in quite some time. Like I was actually mad watching all that game to the start of the fourth quarter. And I still can't believe they won it, but I mean, that's crazy. So now both teams are 14-8. The Mavs are, I don't know if it's official yet, but they are very likely going to get that final NBA Cup wild card spot, which, I know
think
that's
they had
not
to win by at least 5, which good news. We won by
exactly 5. So good stuff. Good stuff. And I mean, man, this team, despite all the people being out, but despite Luka missing several games, Kyrie's been out for a few, PJ Washington, Lively, Najee Marshall's currently out. Gafford missed a few games. Klay Thompson hasn't been able to get a really good rhythm because of his plantar fasciitis. And yet this team is top 5 in offense. They're top 10 in defense. And they're currently 3rd in the West right now after beating the
quick,
Grizzlies.
wasn't it? That was quick.
Yeah.
Last week we were like, what, 6th, 7th? So
two weeks ago, the Mavs were sitting at like 11th, I believe.
Jesus.
After they fell, after that game, they lost to the Jazz and they were 5-7. They fell to 11th, I believe it was. So, man, this it's amazing what winning 9 out of 10 can do for you, right?
Yeah, but also, it just goes to show like how close everybody is in the West. Again, you go on a heater and you win a few in a row, you climb quickly because everyone's just neck and neck.
It was crazy. I'm still on a high from it. I'm probably not going to be able to sleep tonight. I was debating on just going to bed and doing this in the morning, but I was like, who am I kidding? I'm not sleeping after that. So
I'll be honest with you, I'm sleeping tonight. My freaking kid has worn me out. Good God.
I can imagine.
Twos at 1.5.
Terrible. That's right. That's right. You're getting really close to those terrible 2s, aren't you?
Oh, we're there. We're there.
Already there.
We've been there for about a month, maybe 2.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to take a quick ad break. We're going to pay a few bills. Stay with us. We have to talk about some individual performances aside from Luka. And we're going to mention Dinwiddie, of course, again, but we have to talk about some of these other individual performances on the other side of this. So hang with us. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, DJ. So without you looking at the box score, who would you say for the Mavs was the biggest negative in this game? And I'm going to tell you if you were correct or not.
Honestly, my answer is going to shock you because it kind of shocks me because it's really, quite the opposite of what we've come to expect from him. But Derek Lively, that would be my pick.
No, he ended up being a plus 12 in this game.
Oh, well.
And even as bad of a game as Kyrie Irving had, he only ended up being a -1 because of that fourth quarter surge that he was a part of. Maxi Kleber in 10 minutes was a team worse by far, -17.
Oh, God.
10 minutes of Maxi Kleber, and the Mavs were a -17. He had 0 points, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 1 turnover, 3 rebounds, and he was 0 for 1 on his only field goal attempt. Maxi can't play anymore. It's over.
Who the hell is going to take him now, though? I mean,
it's
that's
done.
The thing. Yeah, like who's going to take him, though? Like, who wants him now?
I don't know. I mean, he's still a big body that can grab rebounds every now and then, but his offensive awareness is so bad. Like, I can't be nice about it anymore. And I really haven't been, over the last week or so. But, I mean, I just don't see how they can play him anymore. We mentioned this on the last pod, or one of the last pods. I think it was the pod before last, the Utah game maybe. But it's like, why not throw Omax Prosper in there? And I'm not saying he's the fix. I'm not saying he's the long-term fix for the Mavs as, their backup 4. I'm just saying I don't know that Omax would be a -17 in 10 minutes of play off the bench. That's all I'm saying. The Mavs can still look for a backup 4, a better backup 4 on the trade market before we get to February. But I just look at that, and this is like nearly an every game thing for Maxey at this point. He just doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. He's past his prime. For lack of a meaner word, he's probably cooked at this point. I mean, if he comes back in this next game and ends up, going 5 of 5 or 6 of 6 from 3 or something, and Mav State media wags their finger at me or something like that, it still doesn't negate the fact that he has been horrible so far this year. So that's my rant on Maxey. I don't see how they can play him going forward. Especially when both Gafford and Lively are healthy. You have better options. You have a younger, he's not as, bulky as Maxey, but Omax is, pretty dang tall, and he's pretty stout for a forward. and he still has a ways to go, but I would throw him in there, and I would not let Maxey see the floor for a while if I'm a kid, and just see how it goes. Because obviously, even in those 10 minutes and him being a negative 17, it wasn't enough to keep the Mavs from winning this game. So
I'll tell you who else would intrigue me, kind of, plugging him in there. Maybe Kessler Edwards. That's another long, lanky guy. He can shoot the ball. He's probably a better shooter than Omax. I don't know that he has the ball skills that Omax does, and I don't know that he's got the defensive intangibles that Omax does. But it wouldn't hurt to take Maxey's minutes and then just use them to throw people out there and see what sticks.
DJ, I would play Dwight Powell as the backup four before I'd put Kleba in there again. Powell has been pretty serviceable in some backup minutes this year, and he's a smart player. He what he lacks in length, he typically, well, not typically, but there's a lot of times where he can make up for it with his hustle and his IQ. And, he's not as big of a lob threat as Lively or Gafford, but he still has that lob chemistry with Luka, and, he can make some good defensive plays. I'm not saying any of these guys that the Mavs have at the end of their roster are a long-term fix, but I'm just saying, like, I would throw Powell in there as the backup four before I let Maxey continue to play, because it's just, I don't know, man. He just doesn't look like an NBA player anymore, in my opinion.
Well, the issue that you run into with Powell is there's no floor stretching at the four. At least with Omax and Kessler Edwards, you demand a closeout of some sort, and I just don't think that you get that by putting Powell at the four. I also am a little worried about Powell defending other fours, because a lot of teams just go four out with four perimeter-oriented players. And honestly, the thought of Dwight Powell guarding on the perimeter kind of makes my heart piss its pants. So I would like to see someone who's a little bit more versatile at that position than Powell. But I'm with you. I'd rather see Powell in that position than I'd rather see Maxey, because Maxey can't guard on the perimeter either. So,
yeah, to me, and I wouldn't mind seeing Kessler Edwards there either, but to me, he's more of a 3 than a 4.
Yeah.
But he is a tall 3. And we saw what he could do with the Kings. He had a handful of really good games for Sacramento.
How tall is he? Like 6'7", 6'8"?
I believe he's 6'8", if I'm not mistaken.
And Omax is 6'9".
Let me see here. He's 6'7" is what it says on ESPN. So, but yeah, look, and I don't want to get too negative talking about Maxey and the issue that is, but look, as cathartic as this win was, as exciting as it was, how it finished and everything, like I said, this was the most frustrating game of the year up until the last half of the fourth quarter. This was the absolute most frustrating game of the year. And I was actually still a little mad.
I still am, honestly.
It was such a bad game for the Mavs. And then they literally, the term, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. That's literally what happened in this game. So I don't know, man. And we talked about it too, looking at the schedule going forward. We said, man, if the Mavs are able to get this game against the Grizzlies, you look ahead at the schedule from now really through the end of the calendar year. You have Washington next, then Toronto, then 2 games against the Clippers. And, Ty Lue is a great coach and they play good defense, but, you should be able to beat the Clippers with this team that you have. Mm-hmm. Then you play Portland again. Then you play a struggling Minnesota team on Christmas. Then you play the Suns. That'll be a tough game because it's at Phoenix 2 days after Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then you finish off the calendar year playing at Portland and at Sacramento. There are a lot of potential W's there for the Mavs. Like, they could really go off on a deep run here.
No.
And
They may
man,
have the best record in the NBA by the time we get to February. I mean, there's a very real possibility of that.
absolutely.
But at the same time, I worry about us having a letdown against teams that we should not be having a letdown against, because we've seen it before. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
However, I mean, if you can play this bad against the Grizzlies and still come out with a win, I guess anything's possible.
You look at these last two wins for the Mavs. Like you look before this Grizzlies win, they won the last one against Portland in Portland, 137 to 131. It's like, man, why? How did they give up? 131 points to a Portland team that was 8-13 after that game. But like the Trailblazers shot nearly 60% from three. Like they were hitting everything. And the Mavs didn't have Derek Lively in that game. So, there was a lot of different factors that went into that. And that's another game. Typically if an NBA team shoots 60% against you from three, typically you're going to lose that game, right? So this is two consecutive games that the Mavs in years past probably would have lost, and they ended up coming away with a huge win. And the only loss for the Mavs in these last 10 games was that Miami game that they should have won in the final 5 seconds, but they gave up a driving dunk to Jimmy Butler, which forced overtime. So that's pretty crazy when you think about it. They were one slip up in the last 5 seconds of that game in Miami from a 10-game win streak here, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess we learned our lesson from that game, but God, that pissed me off because it was just undisciplined defense. That's all it was. But that game, it feels like an eternity ago, honestly. And it was just last week?
Yeah, last week. I think it was around this time last week.
Yep.
But like I said, with this win, the Mavs jumped the Grizzlies in the West standings. They're now at third. They have the same record as the Grizzlies at 14-8, but they now have the head-to-head lead for now, and they are only 2.5 games back of OKC for the top seed in the West, and they're a game and a half back of the Houston Rockets, who continue to play really good. So
OKC beat the crap out of somebody today. I don't remember who it was.
Let's see here. Let's go over just some NBA scores from today, and then we'll finish this thing out. But obviously, Mavs get the 121-116 win over the Grizzlies. Let's see. As of this recording, which is 11:10 p.m., the Warriors are up on the Nuggets by 10.
Wow.
About halfway through the fourth quarter. Let's see. The Kings are currently beating the Rockets in the fourth quarter, so the Mavs could be within a half game of Houston for second by the time this night is over. Let's see. The Clippers are up by 8 on the Trailblazers. Sixers beat the Hornets. Cavs beat the Wizards. No surprises there. Bucks beat the Pistons. The Knicks beat the Magic. Let's see. There was a lot of games tonight. Raptors beat the Pacers. The Thunder blew out the Jazz.
That's what it was, yeah.
It was 133 to 106 in that game. So, and then the Suns beat the Spurs, and Kevin Durant had he had Wemby crossed up and go in a completely different direction on the perimeter in that game. I'll have to retweet that. Like I didn't want to retweet it during the Mavs game, but I saw that and I was like, but okay. So, I mean, we've pretty much covered everything. You have anything else to add?
No, I mean, what they say, if you can win ugly, I mean, it's part of being a championship team. You have to be able to win ugly at times because, you're going to get teams' best shots. Not to say that we got Memphis's best shot tonight, but you got to be able to win these types of games if you want to be able to compete for a championship at any level. And we showed that we could do that tonight. Now, obviously, I have concerns about some of the things that we saw tonight, specifically the turnover issue. That simply cannot happen whenever we are playing high stakes basketball, specifically in the playoffs. That it just can't happen. But the fact that we were able to overcome that is encouraging. We need to see improvement in that regard. It can't be a common theme for so many turnovers. And, I really would like to wonder how many of our turnovers were unforced, because it seemed like a lot of them were. And we got to do a better job taking care of the basketball. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, I agree. And let's see here. I was going to end with this. I thought it had a quote, but I see I see a video of Taylor Jenkins talking about the Mavs free throw advantage over the Grizzlies, which ended up being 44-14.
Yeah.
Which, that's that's a lot, but I will say, the Grizzlies made a lot of really done. I was watching their broadcast, and even their guys were saying, like, man, we're fouling when we don't have to be fouling here. They just gifted them to them. So,
mm-hmm. No, we took advantage of stupid mistakes. The thing is, we can't expect other teams to make said mistakes. Really good teams, like, say, I don't know, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're not going to do stuff like that. So, got to be better. You got out of here with a win tonight, but you can't repeat this and expect to win again.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, really fun night. Really fun ending to this game, even though the majority of the game was, me pulling my hair out. But the Mavs, they get a huge win. They erase a 15-point fourth quarter deficit. They won the fourth quarter 39-21 over the Grizzlies to get a massive win. And then now we look ahead and see if, the Mavs can keep piling on the wins as we roll through December. But, man, things are looking up. If they can get the chemistry with Kyrie and Clay and Luka, those three together, if they can get it going with those three, then, we'll really be feeling good. And it won't be these close games. There'll be some blowouts thrown in there too. So
I love blowouts.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's going to do it for another episode. We appreciate you coming in and listening every single time. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms, and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, it'll enter you for a chance to win future giveaways. We appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, guys.